Good evening and welcome to the Smyrna Town Council meeting. I will call this meeting to order, and tonight Chaplain Bill Hunter from the Smyrna Police Department will do our prayer. There you are, Chaplain, and our pledge will be led by our Parks and Recreation Director Mike Moss. If you'll all stand with us, please.
Will you bow with me, please? Holy Father, I want to approach thy throne tonight with the spirit of thankfulness. We've just enjoyed a special holiday honoring our mother. And we're thankful for our mothers and we're thankful for our fathers. Father, there's so many things that we can be thankful for on this occasion. Father, I'm mindful that there's some that are sad. But may we who have been blessed do our very best to lift them up, offer encouragement, offer peace. Father, I'm thankful for those that serve the city of Smyrna, the council, the mayor, every one of our firemen, policemen, paramedics, emergency personnel, all aspects of the city of Smyrna. I'm thankful for those people, and I pray your blessings upon each and every one of them. Tonight, as this meeting continues, we pray for peace, we pray for understanding, we pray for guidance. May that which is right be done. I pray in Christ's name, and amen.
Amen. Place the flag, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mike and Chaplain Hunter. Miss Diane, if you'll do roll call, please.
Councilman Cole?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilman Morrell? Councilwoman Peebles?
Here.
Councilman Short? Councilman Sullivan?
Present.
Vice Mayor Adkins?
Here.
Mayor Reed?
Here. We'll now move on to item 3, which is approval or corrections of the minutes of the April 12th, 2021, April 13th, 2021, and April 29th, 2021 meetings. Are there any additions or corrections that need to be made to these? Jeff, were these in order? Sorry, I forgot that first. Thanks. Then do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
A motion, do we have a second? Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes pass. Moving on to item 4, which is our correspondence and communication. Brian, anything tonight?
Nothing this evening, Mayor.
Okay, we have a few awards and recognitions
Yes, ma'am, we do.
tonight. Get my little cheat sheet out here. So our first one is our Carpe Artista proclamation. And we are commemorating Carpe's 10-year anniversary. And I just told Ron it is hard to believe that it has already been 10 years. It goes by so quickly. So, Miss Diane, would you do the honors, please?
Whereas Carpe Artista's primary mission is the training of young, creative leaders to have a positive impact on community and culture. And whereas for the past 10 years, Carpe Artista, a local arts nonprofit, has been providing arts education and community development opportunities for artists in Smyrna, North Rutherford County, and the surrounding areas. And whereas Rutherford County's nonprofit arts and cultural organizations generated $31 million in economic activity in Rutherford County, according to the 2018 Economic Arts and Prosperity Study. And whereas Carpe Artista recognizes that the arts drive tourism and help retain local dollars. Whereas arts advocacy not only supports the economy, but helps the local community understand the importance of arts education and cultural development in Smyrna and North Rutherford County. And whereas Carpe Artista has a significant interest and influence in the continued vitality and growth of the Depot District, and has been instrumental in arts advocacy throughout the town of Smyrna. And now therefore, by the authority vested in me as mayor of the town of Smyrna, I do hereby proclaim June the 12th, 2021 as Carpe Artista 10th Anniversary Celebration Day, and hereby encourage citizens to join in celebrating the arts at the Simply Smyrna Celebration event taking place in the historic Depot District, proclaimed this 11th day of May, 2021.
Thanks, Ms. Diane. And Ron, if you and your group would come forward. You choose. If you want everybody to come forward, we're happy to have everybody come forward. So I want to thank you all for everything that you all have done for the arts here in the town of Smyrna. There's no way we as a town could have done it without you, and we are so excited to have seen you all grow over the years. And I'll turn it over to you to see if there's anything you want to say.
Sure. Is it okay if I?
To it. Why don't I hold that for you?
Okay.
Does that work? Yes.
I wanted to, Mayor Reed, thank you, council, thank you for your support over the years. Manager Brian Hercules and the rest of town leadership and departments, Mike Moss, your work with us in the Depot District and with events, we have just appreciated that partnership. We're grateful to continue to partner. It's been 10 years. It's hard to believe that it's been that long. And the Depot District certainly has come a long way in that 10 years. When we envisioned that 10 years ago, there was not a lot going on down there. And we've been really glad to have that opportunity to help move that forward. More importantly, we've been glad to see the students move forward. One of the prime examples was this past year, and one of the most difficult years. We do the farmers market for the town of Smyrna. We lost our farmers market manager right before the market opened, and one of our students stepped in. Chloe Boshane is one of our leadership students, stepped in last minute in one of the most difficult years with COVID going on and managed the market very well, and it had a great season. So we're just proud to see those kinds of examples of really why we're there, and that's to see those students.
Well, we are definitely looking forward to the Simply Smyrna celebration.
We're looking
And
forward to breaking it out.
I agree. I think the entire town is ready to get back out and to see each other and to enjoy some community time together. So thank you for everything you all do. We look forward to the continued partnership, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, I'm glad to have my dad, who's on our board, long time involved in nonprofits, so that's why he moved here and is on our board, and we've got a number of board members here too, so
Great.
thank you guys for being here.
Thank you all. Thanks. Next on our agenda is the Stewart's Creek PSA contest winners, Love Where You Live campaign. And Brian, I think you're
Yep.
going to give us a
I will, thank you,
little
Mayor.
overview.
Yeah, we have been talking about this for several months now, and I know it's become a big issue for our town, and that is our trash issue of people littering and those type of things. So part of what we've been doing is trying to develop with our internal staff a Love Where You Live campaign. And we was talking to Chris Bissinger from Stewart's Creek Television, who works with us sometimes in the booth, and he had a brilliant idea, I think. And we picked up on that and moved through this to develop some PSAs that we'll be able to use on Channel 3 and then also with our social media. So we had a contest with the Stewart's Creek students to develop a PSA. They each were given some agenda of what we were looking for and what we wanted to happen and those type things. And then they were set aside to go out and do their thing and bring something back to us. Tonight, we're here to recognize the winners. But before we do that, what I'd like to do is we're actually going to play the 3 PSAs. They're short, so it won't take us much time. But first, we have the Level 2 winner, Mackenzie Jones. So if you'll watch your monitors. Thank you, Mackenzie. Next, we have our level 4 winner, Nathan Surratt. So we'll play that video.
How are you doing today? Awful. Why's that? Because you chucked me in the woods. Oh yeah! I guess I did do that. Not only did you throw me away, but you littered. Did you know that Americans throw away 254 million tons of trash yearly? Oh, I didn't. And I just littered all of 135 pounds of trash. You. Yeah, you did. And littering is a threat to our health and can cause harmful germs and bacteria. Oh. Well, I'm sorry. Is there any way I can make this up to you?
2 seconds later.
Don't litter, or you'll be like him.
Great job. Now we go to our level 3 winner, which is JJ Monk. And each of these children are with us, the young folks are with us tonight too, I think so. Great job. Now, the reason I went out of turn, Raquel, and thank you for pointing that out, but I really did have a plan here. We have the 3 winners in level 2, level 3, and level 4, but also we're going to recognize an overall winner tonight, and the overall winner is JJ Monk, which was the last presentation that was made. That's the reason we put them in that order. So what I'd like to do is ask the students to come up, and if we'll get Chris out of the booth, and also Dr. Howell's here with us tonight, and we appreciate his support from the school with this project. It was a lot of fun. The mayor has a certificate for each of the students. We'd like to recognize them, and then I think there's some bragging rights that are coming somewhere at the school for this project as well, so.
We just want to say thank you for all that you did to help us with this issue. I will tell you, this is probably one of the biggest calls and emails that we've been getting in the last little bit is the amount of trash that you're seeing all over the community. And it's going to take individuals like you and kids that are younger for you all to start realizing so that we can help train the adults, because so many times it is kids that help train their parents. So thank you for what you did to help the town of Smyrna. We can't tell you how much that we appreciate it. I'm going to let you introduce yourself and tell what grade you are in school, and if you're going on to college and you know where you're going, you can tell that too. And if there's somebody you want to give a shout out to, you're welcome to do that.
I'm Mackenzie Jones. I'm the sophomore winner, and I don't know what college I'm going to yet, but I do want to give a shout out, and of course it will go to Mr. Bissinger. Without his great teaching skills, I wouldn't be able to make the video or even start where to start actually without him. So
Have you gotten your grade from him yet?
yes.
Yes, I was going to say, okay. But I'm sure I can tell you, he does a great job here at the town, and we so appreciate all that he does. So I know I've gotten to see firsthand what all he does with you all. So it's really great to have teachers like that. So, JJ?
Hi, I'm JJ Monk. I'm the 11th grade winner. I'd like to give a shout out to my mom and my sister. My sister was driving, so I wouldn't be able to get those clips without her driving. And my mom being so supportive, and of course Mr. Bissinger giving us this project and the opportunity to do this. And I'm still undecided about college, but if I do go to college, I want to go for video production.
Very good. I'm glad to know that you weren't driving, that we were safe and someone else was driving. So nice job. Nathan?
Hi, my name is Nathan Surratt, and I am the 12th grade winner. It is unfortunately my last year at Stewart's Creek. I'm going to miss it a lot. People I want to get a shout out to, Mr. Bissinger. Without him, I wouldn't have made it this far. And to my family, my dad's actually back there, and he's helped me a lot through this year.
And what do you think you're going to do after this year?
So I'm going to go to MTSU. I've already pretty much enrolled there, and I'm going to continue with video and film production.
Great. They've got a great school for that, I can tell you. So I think there's a lot of alums here from MTSU, so we're glad to hear that. And Mr. Bissinger or Dr. Harrell, anything from you all?
Oh, Dr. Harrell is the speaker. I'm lucky to have these great kids.
Great.
Well, you can't say anything more than that. It's all about the students, but it's also about the teachers that have the expertise to pass down their knowledge. And Chris is awesome because he uses his talent and spirit to make a difference in the lives of not only our students at school, but in this community, and that makes me proud.
I agree. I can't tell you what great partners that Stewart's Creek High School is. They are always willing to step up, whether it's the Christmas parade or things where we're using the band or the choir or video production, anything that we ask, they are always willing to step forward. So thank you for all that you do, and congratulations. We look forward to seeing you two again, because hopefully we'll be doing some other things like this. And Nathan, we wish you nothing but the best wherever you end up. So thank you all. Thanks. As exciting as our meeting is going to be tonight, I'm sure there's some of you that might not want to stay the entire time. So, council, you have to stay. I'm sorry. But for those of you in the audience, your performance review is next week, so I would sit if I was you.
I was just adjusting my chair, Mayor.
Oh,
I was just
okay,
adjusting
okay,
my chair. I want to get comfortable.
I know. So, exciting times. What a great job that those individuals did on those PSAs. So, I can't say enough about what teachers do all the time, but especially this year. It has been such a difficult year, and to see projects like that come out even after a year like we've had. So kudos to the students and teachers in general. The last thing that I want to talk a little bit about, today, council had the opportunity to attend the Senior Activity Center of Smyrna's 50th anniversary kickoff celebration, and we were excited to be able to present Patsy Brown with a proclamation honoring her service to the town of Smyrna. 50 years ago, Patsy heard a sermon at Smyrna First United Methodist Church and felt the need to look at starting a senior center. And she did that with 10 seniors. And I'm going to be honest, I forgot how many members. Do y'all remember how many members they said? Is it over 400 now? So it's grown a little bit in the last 50 years, but Patsy is such an asset to the town of Smyrna. I really meant it when I said today that it's individuals like Patsy who see an issue or a problem or something they can make their community better, and they step up and they make a difference. And Patsy has done that in so many different ways. So kudos to Patsy and to Bill both. So many times it's a spouse that's in the background. They may not be the one that's out front, but they are definitely there helping the individual who is. So thanks to Patsy Brown and all that she's done. Brian, anything else under awards and recognitions? Okay, we'll move on to item 6, which is our consent agenda, and these are items that are determined by the town manager to be routine matters and not necessarily needing discussion, but if there is an item that a council member would like to pull off and vote on individually, we can do that. I do like to read the consent agenda so you all know exactly what we're voting on. Item A is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute a contract with Pyro Shows relative to the 2021 Independence Day fireworks show. Item B is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute a contract with Servant Fire Protection relative to the fire extinguisher services. Item C is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute a memo of understanding with Motlow College relative to the emergency medical responder refresher classes. Item D is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute a contract with S&W Contracting Company Incorporated relative to the purchase and installation of 3 street lights on Catherine Grace Drive. Item E is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute Contract Amendment 2 with Itron relative to the AMI project. And item F is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute a contract with Charles DeWeese Construction relative to the Lee Victory Recreation Park entrance project. Council, is there anything you'd like to pull off and discuss individually? Seeing nothing, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Consent agenda passes. We'll now move on to item 7, our old business tonight. Tonight we have 3 public hearings, and our first public hearing is a consideration of a resolution relative to a plan of services for property located on tax map 33 within the right-of-way of Interstate 24. Kevin, how are you?
Good, well, Mayor, how are you?
I'm great.
This first item is a plan of services, which we have the annexation, which is the next item. This is the plan of services. We are required to adopt a plan of services for all annexations, and so this would be the plan of services for the annexation of the right-of-way, or a portion of the right-of-way of I-24. The town will be providing all services to this area upon annexation. The Planning Commission did review this and did recommend approval, and I would also recommend it.
Questions for Kevin on this? Okay, since this is a public hearing, we'll go to the public to see if there's anyone here to speak for or against this item. Seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing and go to the council for a motion. A motion, do we have a second? Motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Our next public hearing is a consideration of an ordinance relative to the annexation R1 with ESO zoning of property located within the existing right-of-way of Interstate 24 on tax map 33 containing approximately 1.75 acres, and this is a second reading. Kevin?
Yes, Mayor and Council, this is the annexation of this portion of the Interstate 24 right-of-way. This was, contains a frontage road that was built when the interstate was built many years ago. However, the town has annexed properties up to the right-of-way, but has never annexed any of the right-of-way itself. This would allow for the town to own and maintain the road, the frontage road, to potentially put some lighting along it, as well as police it for littering and trash being dumped there and those kind of things. This would basically be the right-of-way that comes from the end of Seven Oaks Boulevard up to Indian Springs West, from those adjoining property lines, the private property lines to the interstate right-of-way fence, or the interstate fence there. Planning Commission did review this, did recommend approval, and I would also recommend approval.
Questions for Kevin? Sadly, this is one of those trash issues that to try and take care of the trash and all, it's something that we ended up having to do, I hate to say. So maybe the PSAs would have helped before that, so.
Mayor, to point out, what we'll do is the connection at Seven Oaks Boulevard is not very well done because it was a construction entrance. We will fix that entrance and actually open that secondary road back there as a full-blown road. And one of the things we'll do immediately is, as I talked to Tom and Charles today, is we're looking to get Middle Tennessee Electric to go ahead and put some Cobra heads out there so we have lighting. So hopefully that will deter some of those folks that are going out there at night and dropping large items and dumping out in that area. So,
Questions for Brian or? Okay, this is a public hearing, so I will go to the public to see if there's anyone here to speak for or against this item. Seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing and go to the council for a motion.
so moved.
Motion, do we have a second? Second. Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Our next item is our housekeeping item, which is consideration of a resolution and memorandum of ordinance 21-13 relative to the annexation in R1 with ESO zoning of property located on tax map 33, comprising approximately of 1.75 acres. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Second. Motion second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Our last public hearing tonight is consideration of an ordinance relative to the rezoning of property located on tax map 50, part of parcel 7.03, to go from C2 to PCD. It's requested by Rob Mulchin and on behalf of Bob Parks. The property requested to be rezoned contains approximately 66/100ths of an acre and is located on Seven Oaks Boulevard, and this is a second reading. Kevin?
Yes, Mayor and Council, this is a rezoning request on Seven Oaks Boulevard, about 300 feet from the intersection with Allenville Road. Land use plan would support an office, retail, multifamily mix in this area, and the surrounding zoning is C2 and R1. The proposed PCD is for an oil and lube business. Access will be from Seven Oaks Boulevard via a single access point that would be shared with the future development on the adjoining parcel to the east. The requested property is part of a larger parcel, which has been approved by the Planning Commission to be divided into 3 lots, and this will be the middle of the 3 lots. Proposed building would be approximately 1,700 square feet in size, would have 3 bays. It would be built primarily with brick with ephes used on a portion of the tower where the signage will be located. I did include the pattern book with all the other information that was in that would be tied to this rezoning if it were to be approved. The Planning Commission did recommend, review this and did recommend approval, and I would also recommend approval.
Questions for Kevin? Okay, this is a public hearing, so I'll go to the public to see if there's anyone here to speak for or against this item. No? Then I will close the public hearing and go to the council for a motion. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
Sure. We've already discussed this and talked about it several times, but I just wanted to reiterate my position on this, that I believe that there are some more appropriate type businesses that can go there. So I'm a little uncomfortable with putting an oil lube there at this time, so.
Correct. Any other discussion? Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes. We'll move on to item E. It was deferred last time, I think?
That's correct.
Yes, and it is a consideration of an ordinance relative to the rezoning of property located on tax map 33, parcel 41.00, to go from R4 with ESO to PRD with ESO, requested by Janet Ibrahim, containing approximately 1.98 acres. The property is located at 2090 Rocky Fork Road, and this is a first reading. Kevin?
Yes, Mayor and Council, this is a rezoning request. It's on Rocky Fork Road, about 1,100 feet from the intersection with Old Nashville Highway. It is directly across from Hunter's Chase Drive. Land use plan would support an office, retail, and multifamily mix here. Surrounding zoning is a mix of R1, R3, and C2. This proposed PRD is for 10 single-family attached units constructed in 5 buildings. Access will be from Rocky Fork Road via a private drive. Units will be brick or stone and concrete siding with at least 20% of the exterior as brick or stone. Again, I did attach the pattern book, and in your packet is the revised book that we talked about at the workshop. And so this is the revisions that have been done. The Planning Commission did review this, did recommend approval with several conditions, about 9 of them. All of those conditions with the revisions have been met, except for number 4, which is the stormwater issue. And the stormwater issue is that there is a concern about a potential stream across the northeastern corner of this property. That if it is truly a stream, not just a wet weather conveyance or a ditch, a large ditch, could obviously have a big impact on the layout of this site. That one hasn't been addressed yet because they can't address it yet. They're still waiting on TDEC to come out and look at it and evaluate it and determine whether or not they have to treat it as a stream or not. So they have contacted them. Talking with the engineer today. He believes by second reading, if this were to pass tonight, he would have that information, because he's expecting them to be there within this week, within a week or so from tonight. So, so everything has been addressed other than that one item, as far as the conditions that the Planning Commission recommended.
So that I understand what you're saying, Kevin. So the design is assuming that it was going to be a wet weather ditch, basically.
Correct.
If TDEC comes back and says it's a creek, they're going to need to change their design.
They'll have to change the design,
If
because
we
they'll have to
approve
move
it-
some of those units.
If we approve it tonight, does that change come back to us, or just to planning, or how does that work?
Well, if you approve it tonight, you still have a second reading. So, if you approved it on second reading and something changes, it would potentially have to come back to you if it's a major change.
Okay, so if we approved it tonight, and he does get word that it's a wet weather creek, it's not wet weather and it's an actual creek, we should know that hopefully by second reading, but if not, it would still come back to us.
Yes. And it may be enough of a change that it completely changes everything about, and they have to withdraw and come back anyway. So,
10 units on 2 acres, which is pretty dense, and to look at, I mean, I don't know, this item 4 disturbs me quite a bit. I mean, we have so many difficulties with stormwater these days, and putting water off onto other people's property, and there's just a lot of outcry about that sort of thing. This one leaves me a little uncomfortable. I'd really like to hear that this will work before we pass it. That's all I got.
Other comments?
Kevin, you want to address stormwater for Mr. Cole, so he'll kind of,
yeah, I mean, it's.
I know that's a question he had, it's a concern, so he,
Yeah, I mean, of course, obviously they'll have to meet our requirements from a detention standpoint as far as the increase and all of that. I mean, it's just as any other development does. The quirk in this one is, and we've seen other developments in town where they've had to amend their plans a little bit to address those things. If TDEC evaluates an area and says it is I think they call it a contributing stream, I think is the technical term they use.
What was that again? What?
I think they call it a contributing stream. I may be speaking a little bit out of my expertise certainly on that, but I believe that's the terminology I've heard. If it is that, then they have to protect it, meaning they can't develop it in that area. And it's like I said, we've had a couple developments in town where that has happened, and they've had to tweak their layout a little bit to address those things. So even if that happens, they tweak their plan, they change their plan to address that, allow for that to be in place, they're still going to have to meet the same requirements from a detention standpoint. They can't increase water downstream on, or cause anything to back up upstream on any adjoining property owners. You know, we had the concern just because we saw the potential, at least, of that stream area being a stream, so that's why we brought it up to the Planning Commission and to the developer and his engineer, or her engineer, I'm sorry. And so, and again, they've taken the steps that they can take to this point to address that. They're still waiting.
So Kevin, if it is determined by TDEC that this is a contributing stream and they redevelop their plan, do they then have to go back to TDEC to get approval before it can come back to us?
Well, they'll have to go to TDEC regardless because it is over an acre, so they're going to have to go
Right.
get their stormwater plans and pollution control plans and all those approved by TDEC before they can come to us anyway. So certainly, if that change, it will change the layout of their plan, and so they'll have to go back to TDEC. This would just be a determination on the stream,
Okay.
is all this would be. They would still have to go back to TDEC regardless of the determination. So.
And the stream is in the top right-hand.
The northeastern corner, the top right-hand corner, yes.
Other questions or comments?
this is one of those that, when it came to Planning Commission, we had Chief Culberson and Captain Byers both look at the apparatus turnaround space to make sure all the trucks could get in and out of there safely. They did tweak this plan a little bit in order to make that happen, as I understand. We've created a lot of buffering as well from the Planning Commission side to make sure we made this site look good as far as buffering goes. And I'll remind everybody, it sits adjacent to the KOA campground. So we saw this as a plus if they could get everything right on the fit. They worked with us. The developer really came in and worked hard to try to adjust what we asked him to do. He backed some units up towards the setback to give more space for the apparatuses. So there was a lot of work that went into this, and that's the reason I asked Kevin to answer the question about runoff. Is I think everybody here knows that, but for the public's common knowledge, we like to make sure that they understand that we are not allowed, they cannot dump water onto a neighbor legally. And so they have to do forced detention or drainage or something to keep that from happening, and Kevin and his staff do a really good job at making sure that happens.
Jeff, if we were to move forward with this and put it in the form of a motion, would you recommend putting language in there about this? Or is it going to take care of itself because of TDEC?
They're still going to have to meet the requirements of TDEC. I mean, obviously, there's nothing against you putting that in there, but it's going to flow that way regardless.
So let's say that we moved forward tonight, that's first reading, they came back for second reading next time, and let's say that it wasn't back from TDEC yet, and we deferred it, then there's only 30 more days that they have, correct?
Not on rezoning.
Okay, so we could continue to defer it until we got TDEC's, the stuff from TDEC. Okay. Okay.
Only other question I got, Kevin's kind of listening to what you were describing, and without seeing like topography, it's a little hard to tell, but it sounds like you're saying that upper right corner, that there's some fill material that they're planning to bring in, if they can, to kind of be able to make, I guess, unit 5 and 6 work, at least 5 and 6.
Right.
Because I don't see a detention pond in the design at all, how would adding any fill there not push water off onto one of the neighbors? Where would the water go?
Yeah, I think there's several sheets in what they gave you. I think they were looking at some underground detention and directing all that water back toward the central roadway and having some underground detention in that area.
Okay.
And putting it all in the pipe underground.
So some drainage or something that's kind of back there in that corner that would
It'll
pull it
be
under.
forced. Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just looking at the drawing. I don't understand. If you're going to build it up, it's got to go somewhere.
It's got to go somewhere. You're right.
And all that's going to be decided once TDEC looks at it and says, this is what you got to do, and this is what you have to do. And so and I'm kind of like HG, I have a little uncomfortable in that not knowing what we're going to do. But will they be doing anything, can't do anything after first reading in any way, right? They just, all they can do is just wait until this comes back.
Correct.
And they say, we're going to do it this way or that way. So I guess the question becomes, if it gets put off, and I don't know how the rest of the group feels, if it gets put off until they come back after the reading or after TDEC looks at it, then can they bring it back to us? To say it don't go through tonight, can it come back in a month after they have their reading? Or after they have TDEC look at it, they can come back?
Certainly, if you all want to defer a first reading again or approve it and wait till second reading, they can't do anything till after it's zoned anyway, because even after it's zoned, all that allows them to do is to come in with their site plans back to the Planning Commission with all the more detailed engineering and all that. If something happens that TDEC tells them that it is a contributing stream, again, assuming that terminology is correct, they're going to have to change their layout at that point. And it may be big enough that they have to completely withdraw and completely kind of go back and completely redesign this.
And I'm just,
but
my feeling is, I'm kind of like HG, is that this is a lot of information right here that we don't know yet, and I'm not comfortable with it right now.
And certainly, obviously, you all have the opportunity, you don't have to defer or approve, you can also have obviously the denial option, and they could then come back and you'll submit again, if they wanted to, so.
And just for the individual who is wanting to bring the project forward, if TDEC came back and was okay with everything, do you think you all would be okay with the project the way that it is? Or are there other things that you kind of have issue with that we may want to go ahead and discuss other than
Well, I was
just
going
the
to
water?
Kevin to describe the parking availability on this one.
Yeah, there's 5 spaces set aside, which is kind of a half space per unit is what we've been trying to get for guest parking, and so that they're meeting that. That's kind of in that entryway there. There's all the parking or the driveways are double width. The shortest one's about 29 feet. We typically, on most of these townhome type projects, we're getting at least 20 feet or so you can park 2 cars side by side. That last one, which is unit 1, is about 29. I think 10 is about 33 or so feet. All of the other units, the other 8 units, are 40 to 50 feet in depth as far as the driveway depth between the garage and the private drive.
Deeper than most of our residential.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of like what I think kind of where Mayor Esther was going. I generally don't necessarily have any issues with the product. I think that it does fit, considering there's duplexes across the street and we've got the KOA right there. I'm gonna be honest. I think they're gonna have a hard way to go to do with the stormwater, even if it's just a dry weather creek. They're still gonna have to do something with all that runoff, and we're relying on TDEC to handle that. And I could also say, if we were on second reading and didn't have TDEC's response, or they came back as a creek, then I would not be able to support it and at least defer or deny. If we're looking at it just for what it is right now, assuming TDEC's going to take care of the stormwater, which is what the assumption we're having to make, then I'm okay with the product as it is, I think. And I think that's probably where planning was going too, with all of their stipulations.
Well, at this point, it's out of our hands. There's, it's, other than if we denied it because we didn't like the product itself. So I guess we just need to determine, are we okay with moving forward with the product, knowing that TDEC has to give a response, and we could defer on second reading if we wanted to, or are you more comfortable deferring at this point? I think the only thing it does is it holds them up at least another 30 days is what it does. But what's the pleasure of the council?
How about if I just make a motion? I'll make a motion that we approve the project as it is with the stipulations that planning has set forth specifically around the storm water discharge.
Okay, got a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
A motion and a second. Discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. So we will have second reading on that next month. And Kevin, if you get the TDEC response, will you send it to us when you do, just so we kind of get an idea?
I mean, just for the record, if we don't have a response by second reading, I would not be in favor of moving past that.
I would agree with that as
Either defer
well.
or deny.
That has to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we will move on to new business. Have a few items tonight. Our first is consideration of an ordinance relative to the annexation and PUD zoning of property located on tax map 55, parcel 29.02, requested by Larry Davis, containing approximately 37 acres. The property is located at 3545 Amilville Road, and this is a first reading. Kevin?
Yes, Mayor and Council, this is an annexation and PUD zoning request. It's for property at 3545 Allenville Road. It's about 300 feet north of the intersection with Inez Drive. Land use plan would support a low-density, single-family development, residential development here. The surrounding zoning is RM in Rutherford County. The town would be providing all services to this area upon annexation except for water, which would be provided by CUD. Sewer would be pumped to the existing pump station in Amberton until such time as gravity sewer is extended along Stewart Creek and Rocky Fork Creek, which borders this property. Property is currently developed as a winery and is zoned AR, which is agricultural residential in Rutherford County.
Did this one not get pulled back?
No, it was the other one, that, it was the, Mr. Butler's request.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
My bad.
The proposed PUD would allow for a winery, 5 commercial buildings that total 20,810 square feet, a 6,300 square feet event venue with a 35,000 square feet event lawn area, horse stables and riding trails, and 66 townhomes. Access would be from Allenville Road at 2 different locations. The townhomes would be a minimum of 1,800 square feet in size with 1 and 2 car garages. The commercial uses in the 5 commercial buildings would be as allowed in C4 with the additional uses of wine sales and wine tasting. Again, I did attach the pattern book for this development. The Planning Commission did review this, did recommend approval with 6 different conditions. The uses within the 5 commercial buildings are limited to uses as allowed in the C4 zoning district with the additional allowed uses of wine sales and wine tasting. That is spelled out as a condition because in their the packet of information there that they submitted, there was a list of uses that they had wanted, and they did not want that to be exhaustive list, and so this was kind of as a compromise with that to allow, so they have a little bit more expanded than what they had asked for, but also still limiting it to the C4 district, not anything above C4, other than the wine sales and tasting. The second condition, events are required to end at 10 p.m. with the exception that events occurring indoors can extend to 11 p.m. on Friday and Saturday nights. Townhomes are required to be a for-sale product and owner-occupied. We'd ask them to show the 100-year floodplain elevation. There is a little bit of floodplain on this property, and they have the boundary shown, but not the actual elevation. All townhomes are required to have a double-width driveway in addition to the garage, which is that's kind of a standard we have on everything now for townhomes. And then number 6, that a traffic study for the entire development is required to be submitted with the first site plan submittal. Again, the Planning Commission did recommend approval, and I would also recommend it to you with those conditions.
Mark and Kevin, questions or concerns that were raised in Planning Commission that you all kind of worked through that we might need to know?
You know, one of them was access, ingress, egress, with a couple ways in and out of there, and that's something that we discussed at great length about making sure a traffic study was done. Also to the whether the traffic study review indicated we should have a potential turn lane there or not, it may be something that we need to look at either way. That being a state road, those are 2 cuts. I assume the state would have to approve both of them.
That's correct.
Yeah, so we have to leave that up to the state to decide if those 2 cuts would be approvable or not.
So as it's submitted, their plan is 3 cuts, right? The one that's existing plus 2 additional?
That's correct.
Yeah, and that's more, yes, but that's more of a driveway.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're right.
Okay.
The layout was intriguing to us because it wraps through the vineyard, and having an event center there, we just, you know, when I first started listening to this, I know they came to us some time ago and talked about doing maybe some estate-type homes, and we told them to go back and review all that because there was a lot of subdivision that had to take place and so forth. So they brought this back, and it has a, I'll call it a Tuscany look to it, and sort of an Italian look, if you will. Patios, outdoor patios, gathering places. And after the developer talked to us, we saw it more like a destination for something similar to an Arrington Vineyards, where people can come out and enjoy a glass of wine and be on the grounds and that kind of thing. But these would be owner-occupant properties if it were to move forward. They are not rental properties, and the design on them was quite intriguing. It's nothing like what we're accustomed to seeing with the town-owned products we see today.
So Jeff, by including that in our condition of our approval, does that go against the title of the home going forward? What keeps these from becoming rental properties in the future after the first sale?
Right, there would be nothing that would keep someone else from renting it.
And that's with anything, really.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
it's hard
just
to
didn't know if
tell.
it attached to the deed or if there's HOA there that would.
You can age restrict it, but it's hard to tell a property owner.
the city
that they
can.
resell a property. In other words, they couldn't buy it and then rent
Right,
it
sure.
out.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying they couldn't resell it. I'm saying what keeps it from
But if
becoming
they
rental.
resold it to the
We
next
do
person.
have an ordinance to keep it from being short-term lease, so it couldn't be Airbnb type events and stuff, but it could be somebody doing a long-term lease.
That actually probably doesn't bother me as much as a long-term lease.
But this is no different than
Yeah.
anything we've ever
House
done.
across the street from me.
Okay.
Once again, Kevin, when you talk about parking in the residential area,
Right, that was one of our comments, which was addressed before Planning Commission recommended. We'd asked for additional parking. They have, again, the double width driveways, which will have parking for each individual unit for the people who live there, in addition to garages to have the parking in front. But then scattered throughout the development, there are kind of pockets of 5 and 6.
those little feather-looking things there,
Yeah,
are
those are
that
5 and 6
additional parking?
rows of parking of 5 or 6 wide, kind of scattered throughout the residential area for guests. And so, again, we'd asked them to add some additional, which they did, to kind of get to that roughly, again, a space for every couple of units there for guest parking, in addition to what's in each individual driveway. And of course, the commercial piece is all parked separately from that as well.
Is the pond detention or retention or anything?
Potentially, I guess.
Well, I mean, is it required?
It certainly is required. Obviously, it'll be required. I don't know if that's I assume it's probably a retention pond that they'll use as an amenity.
And the traffic study?
We talked about this, and they will be required to do a traffic study when they bring the plat in, but it will not come back to council. So the traffic study be reviewed by the staff moving forward. And the condition is with the first site plan or plat that comes in, which probably mostly site plans with this. I assume they're going to subdivide the property. With that first one that comes in, they would have to have the development, or the traffic study to address the entire development, not just that first building that they build necessarily. Which they're looking at, really their phase one are the commercial buildings along the front. That's kind of their phase one. So certainly that would be something we would look at with that first site plan. They would have to have this traffic study for the whole development. The residential piece, the event center piece, all of it. So the planning commission and the staff would see the study. It would not come back to council if approved as PRD.
Okay.
I checked on that.
Okay. Now, wait, say that again then?
I checked on that. I wanted to make sure I was saying that right. It would not come back to council.
Right, okay, okay.
Yes, that's what I said. I checked on it to make sure.
All right.
Have they done anything similar to this somewhere else?
This developer?
Yeah.
I don't believe so.
Okay.
I don't recall them bringing that up at planning last week.
Okay.
As far as, this is a copy of something else.
No, I think, my understanding from the developer, this is his vision for what he wants to do. This is his first time. This isn't something he's done somewhere else and he's doing it again. This is his first time.
First time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did they speak of projected build-out time?
I know there's a 3 phases, with the residential kind of being the second phase and the event center third. I don't know that they have a exact build-out time in here that I recall. Again, just kind of in that phase 1, phase 2, phase 3.
On this, it says commercial areas first, being built within the end of the year.
First phase.
The first phase.
Yeah.
But beyond the first phase, I don't know that they have. With the current residential market, I would assume they would probably move fairly quickly on the townhome portion as well, but.
Questions? I think it's definitely something unique, something,
We haven't seen this before.
no. Comments?
Well, I'd go back just to make sure everybody has looked at some of the design review product. Like you said, it's quite attractive. This isn't your townhome as we see going up and down the highway. It's a different look altogether. And just the destination portion of it, I think, is an asset if we move forward to bring something to the town that a lot of people currently go to Arrington for. So that's sort of attractive, in my opinion.
So I do have a question. And if I'm not mistaken, from the planning meeting, you said that the fire flow for the commercial wasn't adequate yet, so that has to be addressed before they can move forward with the commercial build out?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. What does that look like? Can you explain that to me?
Well, it is provided by CUD, so.
Right.
In talking with them, CUD's process is you basically submit a request for a water availability letter, and that's when they formally evaluate and tell you what you have to do to upgrade. So that's really kind of their first step is, before they do anything, they're gonna have to do that. Before they even submit a site plan to us, they're gonna have to go get with CUD and figure out the water piece of this, because that has to happen before. There's adequate flow there for residential, not
residential,
commercial.
right.
And so they're gonna have to do that. Sprinkling the buildings could change that, as far as what the required fire flow is, because that does change it. But as it stands right now, there is not adequate fire flow there for the commercial piece of this and the event center piece of it.
Okay.
Other questions? Seeing no other questions or comments, do I have a motion?
I move we approve with the planning commission recommendations.
Okay, we've got a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Item 2 is consideration of an ordinance relative to the rezoning of property located on tax map 50C, Group A, parcel 26.00 to go from R1 to PRD. It's requested by Scott Butler. The property requested to be rezoned contains 2.2 acres and is located on Terrytown Drive. This is a first reading, and it is my understanding this one has been
It
pulled.
was
Is that
withdrawn
correct?
today, yes.
Okay, so this item has been pulled from the agenda. And we'll move on to item 3, which is consideration of an ordinance relative to the annexation R3 zoning of property located on tax map 54, parcel 17.00, requested by Sean Collins on behalf of James E. Parker. It contains approximately 10.24 acres. The property is located at 8965 Rocky Fork, Amaville Road, and this is a first reading. Kevin?
Yes, Mayor and Council, this is an annexation and R3 zoning request. It is on Rocky Fork Elmville Road, about 1,000 feet south of the intersection with Kedron Church Road. Land use plan would support low-density single-family in this area. Surrounding zoning is RM in Rutherford County and PRD in town, which is the Westover and Helmsley Place PRDs. The town would be providing all services to this area upon annexation, except for water, which would be provided by CUD. There is an existing single-family house on this parcel, and again, the zoning would be R3 upon annexation. Planning Commission did review this, did recommend approval, and I would also recommend it to you.
Questions for Kevin on this? Comments?
No, only comments is, everything around it is R3 or PRD, so it fits the rest of the land we've brought in this area. Is it pretty much the same kind of density, same zoning?
Okay. Hearing no other questions or comments, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Show me is not voting, please.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes with one abstention. Item 4 is consideration of a request to obtain a public easement for purposes of extension of a natural gas main on property owned by the Smyrna Rutherford County Airport Authority. Kevin?
This was reviewed by the Planning Commission as a mandatory referral, and so this is for the town to obtain a natural gas utility line easement. It would benefit the Airport Authority. It's on the Airport Authority property. It'd be along Thunderbird Drive and positioned between Blue Angel Way and out to the cul-de-sac at Liberator Lane. This is something that time was of the essence on this one, and so the airport, this was something that was added late to the agenda Thursday night, but the Airport Authority the Executive Director did confirm this request. We have, with the letter that was submitted and is in your packet, a survey to obtain the legal description has been ordered. The Planning Commission did review this and did recommend approval unanimously, and I would also recommend it to you.
Questions for Kevin on this? Do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item B is Packaged Liquor Board report. There were no applications for the town council to consider at this time. Item C is consideration of an ordinance to amend the Town of Smyrna Municipal Code Title 14, Zoning and Land Use Control, Chapter 6, Stormwater Management Ordinance. This is a first reading. Hey, Tom.
Hello. Thank you, Mayor, Council. Yes, this is a change. It's not specifically to the ordinance itself, but to the supporting documents of the ordinance. Those include the public information education section, the enforcement response plan, and the grading permit procedures. We had gone through an audit about 6 months ago. TDEC came in and they did their 5-year audit of our stormwater program and found some things that needed to be adjusted a little bit in these 3 supporting documents. So we made those changes in, they see highlighted in yellow text, and just to be in compliance with the audit findings.
Questions for Tom on this? Seeing none, do I have a motion? Motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Item D is consideration of an ordinance adopting property tax rate for the fiscal year 2021-2022, and this is a first reading. Rex?
Mayor and Council, good evening. The tax rate establishes the property tax rate for fiscal year 2021 and 2022. Our recommendation is for the tax rate to remain the same from the prior year at 70.07 cents on each $100 of assessed taxable property.
Questions for Rex on this? Do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Item E is consideration of an ordinance adopting the budget for the fiscal year 2021-2022. This is a first reading. Rex?
The ordinance and detailed budget for fiscal year 2022 are submitted for your consideration. I have attached changes from retreat to first read spreadsheet for your convenience. It details the budget changes from what we presented at the retreat and some minor payroll adjustments from the Human Resources Department. Mayor, we started back last November working on the budget, met with department heads. A lot of discussion, a lot of thought went into the budget. We met with y'all at the budget retreat for a day and a half, which we extensively went over a lot of the details there. And on April 29th at the workshop, we went over extensively, did a budget overview of the whole town's finances, so.
Questions for Rex on this? Do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Thought y'all had gone to sleep. Motion and a second. Any discussion? Rex, you guys put in a ton of work, and when it gets to us, it's easy. Y'all are the ones who do all the hard work, and I can't tell you how much we really appreciate it, so. Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Item F, anything under other tonight, Brian?
No, ma'am.
Then we will move on to status reports. Anything from directors that needs to be addressed? Ms. Diane? Brian?
All right, Council, I have just a couple of things real quick that I'd like to share for the community's knowing. We have a new playground at Lee Victory Park that will be opening on May the 26th at 3 p.m. will be the ribbon cutting. I hope everybody's received a email about that, and that'll be the grand opening of that Freedom Playground, which is our all-inclusive playground, which is a joint venture with our Smyrna Rotary Club, the town of Smyrna, and then I have to give some kudos to the state of Tennessee. We had several folks step up and make donations. The state of Tennessee gave us a grant, and then also the Christy Houston Foundation provided a large grant. So I just want to get that on the calendars. That's May the 26th at 3 p.m., and you'll be hearing more about that. Also, Memorial Day this year, that's May the 31st. We will be having a Memorial Day service. Again, the chief is working with us. It'll be at 11 o'clock on the 31st, and that'll be at the Jeff Coos Memorial. We do have secured General Huber will be our guest speaker, and we'll be working with the VFW again to present that program. And it's always such a nice event, and being able to have it now at the memorial, we've moved the Veterans Memorial from the front of our building out to that same site. So I think it'll be the first time we've had an opportunity to do it there, and it'll be a nice event. The last thing I want to share is the town of Smyrna was lighting up the Justice Center and the depot on Front Street in blue in honor of our law enforcement personnel during National Police Week, which is May the 9th through the 15th of this year. Please join us in thanking all of our law enforcement personnel and the service to our community and the sacrifices they make as they serve. So with that, Mayor, that completes my report tonight.
Jeff?
I just will let the council know that we did complete both of our evenings of new board member trainings successfully. And,
Anything else? Raquel?
Just congratulations to Carpe for their 10-year anniversary, and to the senior citizens for their 50th, and to Miss Patsy for her recognition today. And that's all I have.
Great. HG?
I want to agree with Raquel here. It was a great event today for the senior citizens, and
I thought you were going to call me Renee. I was waiting.
I thought about calling you Rita for a laugh, but Miss Patsy is just somebody that's, when we first came to Smyrna, we started going to Methodist Church, and there was Miss Patsy, so she's been, in my life for as far back as I can remember, and I was very happy for her to receive the honors, which she did today. I wore blue tonight for the National Police Week, just to point that out. And then I also need to pass along condolences on the passing of Gary House. Gary was a great friend of mine going back to when we were small kids in junior high school, and his whole family has always just been very supportive of me and good friends of mine. And anytime we lose any of that family, it's like losing some of my own family. And Gary was especially entertaining himself. He was a great guy. And we passing the budget and such as that. Big part of our budget is local sales tax. So let's shop local. And Mary Esther, be kind.
I will do that, HG. I'll see you outside after the meeting.
Yeah, I know.
See how kind she is.
Jerry?
I also echo what HG and Raquel said about today. We had a great time, and just congratulate those. HG, I also wore blue for the law enforcement. Again, thank you all for what you do. We really appreciate it so much in our town and our country, our state. I mentioned this the last time. I'm going to bring it back up, but I was involved in the Friends of Scouting event in which the mayor's dad was given the Good Scouting Award. It was a I thought it was a great time we had, and I know some people in here helped in this, and really appreciate that. Some people probably watching also helped. I got something last night that said that there was 3 events for scouting held last week. Smyrna, and then another county altogether, and then another city here in Middle Tennessee, and the all 3 together, that was $18,000 raised for scouting. So I thought that was great. Now, of that $18,000, over $10,000 of it came from the town of Smyrna. So people really helped out, and I just want to say thank you to all of those that was involved in that. And also, there's a birthday tomorrow. I'm not sure if she's going to be watching or not, but Miss Jeanette Gwynn's birthday is tomorrow. I think a lot of us kind of keep up with her, and I just want to say happy birthday to her.
Great. Thanks, Jerry. Steve?
Yeah, I'll just start off by saying, Chief, I don't see Chief Arnold, but I did not wear blue, and I appreciate HG and Jerry pointing that out, that the rest of us did not.
For fire installation.
However, I still appreciate the work that you guys do, and you know that I'll support you any way that I can. But thanks, guys, for throwing us all under the bus. Appreciate that. Also, Miss Brown, Patsy Brown, she's been around Smyrna for a long time, and I was fortunate enough to go to school with one of her daughters, so she was involved in a lot of our activities and a lot of things that we did because we were the same age. So she's been an influence on us, some of us, setting up here for a long time. So congratulations to her. You know, the thing that struck me, and it's just classic Patsy, was she was surprised. She didn't know this was coming, so it was a surprise to her. And a lot of times when there's a surprise, people kind of feign modesty. In her case, it's not feigned. She truly does it for the betterment of the community and the betterment of others. And it comes through in how she handles herself, how she speaks, and the way she acts. So I really appreciate everything that she's done.
Well, and to know that you started a group off with 10 people, and how many people would you say were there?
I don't know. She said they had, I heard them say 400 members at one point. I don't know where they are now, but I know that it had gotten at least to 400 members if it's not there now or higher.
But it looked like to be about, what, 200 there?
Yeah, a couple
How many would you
hundred.
say?
There were
24 tables, not including ours.
And I think there were
7 or 8 at each table.
Yeah, 7 or
Right.
8, yeah.
So to see something that you've started with 10 people, to just see that many people there today has to feel like such an accomplishment. And, yeah, it's individuals like that that have made our community what it is today, so.
Yeah, I thought she spoke really well, especially when she mentioned, just like I said, that she got more out of it than she ever gave, and that to me is kind of a sign of somebody that's doing something for the right reasons, and I appreciate her leadership and her commitment to the community.
Mark?
Yeah, Steve, I don't have any blue on either, and I didn't plan to dress for that this evening at all, but I will say, just like you did, our police and fire departments here do an amazing job protecting our community, and we appreciate them and those that serve in those departments. I know Chief Arnold's probably out there in the lobby listening, and I want him to know how much we appreciate him and his men and women in uniform as well during this time to honor them. You know, police work is not easy, and a lot of people take it for granted, and we're seeing a lot of things around the country right now sort of take away from those that serve, and it's sad to see it, but with people like Chief Arnold and the force that we have, it's a good group of people. They're honorable people, they're respectable people, and they try to do their job in a respectable manner. So I appreciate that. You know, we're often bragged on about a community that respects the people that are in a funeral procession because of what our police and fire people do to make sure that their families are honored as they escort them to and from the service. So thank you, Chief, out there, and you too, Chief Culberson, we appreciate it. To your dad, congratulations to him. And Jerry, you mentioned Smyrna raised $10,000 of those $18,000. I'd like to just give you a lot of credit for that because you hammered us all for money. And and believe me, it wasn't 10 grand. So I know that you and your volunteers got out there and worked hard to make that a success. I'm teasing you when I say that, but thank you for doing that and having a heart for the Boy Scouts like you did. HG, you mentioned Gary House, and we all have some history with Gary, and sad to see him go. And so just condolences to his family. I too want to mention Patsy, because Patsy is so near and dear to all of our hearts that we all get to say what we want to about her, and it may take us a few minutes, but Steve, you talked about no feigning in the way she received it today. She wants no credit. But, Patsy is just a mainstay in our community. She's somebody that everybody probably knows if you've lived here long enough, and has a ton of respect for her and for Bill. So she mentioned Bill today, and so if they're watching tonight, Bill's probably on the couch going, you know what, they act like I didn't do anything. But we all know.
I think he sits in the recliner, to be quite honest.
But he has to listen to Patsy. So he gets his part of it too. So Bill and Patsy, thank you both. Mentioned Carpe's 10-year anniversary. It doesn't seem like it's been 10 years, but it has. And they've been a very integral part of what's taken place downtown at the Depot District area. And Ron Alley and his group, want to say thank you to them. The Love Where You Live campaign that we saw the cuts on tonight, that's absolutely great. Stewart Creek High School, Dr. Harrell, everybody out there that partook in being a member of making that Love Where You Live campaign something that we can all listen to and try to obey. We've talked about litter for a long, long time around here, and it continues. So help us, please, and thank you to those future young people right there that put those videos together and competed to make it fun. And last but not least, Mary Esther, you said something at the beginning about our teachers, and I am married to somebody who's in the teaching business, and I never miss an opportunity to say this COVID year has been one of the hardest years on teaching there ever was before, but all of our teachers did an amazing job. They stood up, they did what they had to do at times when they didn't understand it or didn't want to have to do it or got sick themselves. But I want to say thank you especially to all the teachers out there in the community and those that serve our kids at the school. That's all I have.
Great. Thank you, sir. My housekeeping item tonight is the Top Gun Night Run. Registration is open. You can visit the town's website to learn more and to register. This year's run is going to be held at Lee Victory Recreation Park at 7 p.m. on November the 5th. And it is going to be a ton of fun. You do not have to be a professional runner at all to participate. Right, Brian?
That's correct, Mayor.
Right. So,
Right, HG?
I'm in there.
me too, HG.
Right, Mayor?
That's right. That's right. So we encourage you to sign up and to come be a part of this event. It will definitely be a lot of fun. Mother's Day. For those that were able to come out to the event center, Chef did an amazing job on the buffet. If you walked away hungry, it was your fault because there was enough food to feed an army. It was a ton of food, and I think everybody's enjoying getting out and just getting to see each other again. So enjoyed that. Jerry, thanks for all the hard work on the Boy Scouts event that you and the group did. It was a really nice event, and it's always nice to get together and have a good time but raise money for a worthy cause. So thanks to you on that. Wanted to let you all know that we got a letter together from me going to the mayors of Nolensville, Franklin, Brentwood, Williamson County,
and
Rutherford County, to ask for help on a consulting firm, and have gotten some pretty good feedback to look at the road going from Rocky Fork all the way to McEwen. And I've had some conversations with some of those mayors, and we'll be able to have more conversation. Our next Transportation Policy Board hopefully is going to be in person. So all the hard work that Brian and staff have done, and Kevin, and is starting to pay off, so I will keep you all updated on that. I also want to thank our law enforcement. I can tell you, living with one on a daily basis, sometimes it's tough. Sometimes it's tough to hear the stories that they come home and tell about what they've had to deal with. And it's tough watching them walk out that door every day. So thank you for law enforcement, for all that you do, for helping to make our community a great community. We really appreciate it. The last thing I have is my niece's birthday. Mary Lee will be on Friday, so happy birthday to Mary Lee. She has just gotten her own place and has been in her own place for about 2 nights, so she's super excited. I think her parents may be more excited than what Mary Lee is, so hope that goes well. But happy birthday to Mary Lee. Anything else?
I
Yes.
have one more thing, I apologize.
Absolutely.
Tomorrow night, some of you may know, Shannon Williams was a teacher at Smyrna High School that passed away very young. But anyway, tomorrow night, Smyrna High School's auditorium will be named in honor of her, so.
I think it's 5:30.
I think that's right.
Yep. So, very well deserved. Anything else? If nothing else, then we are adjourned.